sense to everybody? Okay? So, again, I don't have any shops that run at their posted door rate, okay? But if you are under, you need to be somewhere around 85 to 90% of your posted door rate, right? Does that make sense? So if you're under that, you know, you're kind of giving money away. You know, if you're not a DRP shop at all, right, and you've got 36 posted, but you're only collecting at 30, then something's wrong, right? You're either your office is accepting a lot of caps, or they're just not getting all the time on the tickets. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that could.
Well, and they'll tell you too, even if you do any insurance work, they'll tell you, through independence, this is all we can pay.
Right, right. Oh, absolutely.
Your mechanical rate's $125 an hour. We'll say, well, we can only do 95.
We're doing 95,
exactly.
right? Absolutely, yeah. And then the other business decision comes in, and how far am I going to fight this, right? You know, and that's something that you got to decide. There is a line in the sand for all of us that are like, okay, that's close enough. Let's move on. We got shit to do, right? But just to be able to, and the impact report shows you this, if you plug all that information in, to be able to go back and look at your store and say, okay, I've got 36 posted, we're really collecting in 32, this is how much lost opportunity I had or lost profitability. That doesn't mean you're going to go out there tomorrow and change it, but it's a good thing for you to know, right? That I left $8 grand on the table because of a business arrangement that I have. My point is that if you really look at the numbers, some of these business arrangements that you have may not be worth having, right? You see what I mean? They might be, but they might not be. You know, so knowing the numbers is what really, helps you make better business decisions. You know. So we already talked about that, right? And you see how just that $5 that it would actually move that guy's paint material profit would raise your gross profit by 33%, right? It's a big change, you know. I already talked about that. We all get why there's a difference between the prevailing door rate and your posted door rate, right? And your effective door rate, okay? Sometimes I have that. So we want to sell more paint materials. Here's some ways that these are the areas that we're going to cover next. We'll talk a little bit about commonly missed items, selling more additional paint time. The R&I time's kind of archaic. I'll probably jump over that. But selling details and miscellaneous items can be helpful. Now I've got some help, a little hint there, but it's probably not in this book that can help you. Repair planning and supplements and overcoming some caps. So we'll talk about all that stuff real quick, and then I think we'll go eat. Is that cool? So, commonly missed items. On our repair order, we miss paint materials, we miss body materials. I know body materials is kind of hard, like in Texas, to get paid. There are parts of the country that are getting it, by the way, so that's why it's in here. There are some, there's a list right on page 50 there of some commonly missed body items for structural materials. Any fluids, though I would argue we probably don't give fluids away like we once did when I started in this business, right? Because there was a point in time where, hell, we were buying a gallon of coolant for $6, right? And so we might eat that gallon of coolant because, well, it's just like my clip story, right? I was at the end of the deal. I'm going to write a supplement for $6 worth of coolant. Now, if I found that coolant that I needed it up front, then I would have billed them for it back then, but I wouldn't now. What's changed now is that shit is so expensive that it almost is forced compliance. And if y'all don't agree with me, that's cool, right? But I think that's really what's shifted on the Freon and the brake fluid and the red coolant and all that kind of crap, right? Like it takes special coolant for a Toyota. That gallon of coolant's like $30, right? Pretty expensive stuff. So we're not going to give away that stuff anymore. But if any of this stuff on this list right here is something that sometimes gets away from you, let's figure out a way to not let it get away from you. Because this shit is not a cost of doing business, right? Matter of fact, none of that stuff is. One of my colleagues, when he presents, you may have seen him present at SEMA and things like that. His name's Tim Ronick. He kind of wrote this class, quite honestly writes most of our financial stuff. right? He calls that the Jedi mind trick. He goes, it's a cost of doing business, right? That's what he does in front of his classes, right? Because they have got us all mind screwed into thinking that it's a cost of doing business, right? You know, that's just the cost of doing business. They say that to you all the time. It's not. It's not a freaking cost of doing business. Build them back to them, you know? There's no such thing, especially this stuff. This is a part. They need Freon, it needs oil, it needs fluids. It's not a cost of doing business. Clips are not a cost of doing business. Tire weights, if you balance your own tires, which I'm sure you guys do. We did at my dealership. You have a balancing machine? You know, is there a magic fairy that comes in and gives you free wheel weights and stuff at night when you're not at the store? Or do you purchase those?
Insurance company thinks there is.
Yeah, I know, but there isn't a magic fairy, right? That comes and fills up all of your supplies at night. You gotta buy that stuff. Even the Absorball that goes on the floor, that stuff's not free. Crash wrap is not free, by the way. Actually, crash wrap's pretty damn expensive, you know? I've told insurance companies before too, look, the car's a total out on my lot. Do you want me to protect it or not, right? Because if I'm going to go put crash wrap on this thing to the tune of whatever that shit is a roll, I was so far removed.
They want to protect it,
They don't want to pay for it. No, so I'm look, you have to, don't be like me, I'm not telling y'all to do that. You have to decide where your how confrontational you want to be. I personally like conflict. Ann will tell you that. I like it. I don't mind it. I love to debate insurance people on stuff because they are so stupid and they never really have their stuff together. But when it comes to a total loss on my lot, if the car comes out there and it pukes fluid all over my ground and it's a total and glass is broken out and everything else, I'm billing them for my guy's time to go out there and clean that stuff up. I'm billing them for the crash wrap, I'm billing them for his time that it took to wrap that thing. Or their second option is, I'll let it fill up with rain. I don't care, okay? It's not my car. I'm still gonna charge you storage too, even though it's filled up with water. But if you want me to go protect it, that's not free. That's not a cost of doing business, right?
Generally, and I know locally, it's all part of like an admin fee or
Right.
reservation
Yeah, and it
fee
can be.
or
Yep.
whatever, you know, you are willing to charge it.
For sure.
To go to war with them.
And the flip side too is if you have signed your life away on a DRP that says you're going to do this stuff for free, well then that's fine. You chose to do free stuff for volume, and I'm not gonna beat you up over that. Well, I might, but I mean, it's okay, right? But if it's Fred Loya that just drops some crap off at your lot that you're not direct repair with, why in God's name are you gonna give him any of that stuff? Doesn't make sense. I'm just using Fred Loya as an example, because they suck. Pretty much everywhere in Texas. But if you think they suck here, go to the valley. Oh my God, that's where they started. And they have a foothold in the valley. I mean, they are everywhere, you know, so, and they're not easy to deal with, you know. So, anyway, that's my rant on that piece. Q-pads is on this list, by the way. Q-pads are expensive. Don't give away Q-pads or any kind of sound deadening stuff, right? Corrosion protection, any of that stuff. Now that's something that I see people give away a lot, or they just don't do it properly. So it's twofold. Look up the OE procedures on what you're supposed to do to properly protect, right? And then bill the people for what you do. Like I said when the class started, if we would just bill people for what we do, of course that means we do it, right? That doesn't mean we bill them for things that we should do that we don't do, right? But as long as we're doing it and we bill them for it, be shocked how much money you'd start to drop to your bottom line, right? I don't know that we need to go through that exercise, but on 51, no, it has the answers for you. So on 51, it's just telling you whether it's time and material, that's what the T&M means, right? Is there time involved, is there material involved, or is it just material? That's all that's saying, okay? And that's just, I mean, it's a pretty decent list, but I'm sure we could all add to that list. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go through that. Other ways to getting paid for what we do. There's a lot of estimate scrubbers out there. This in particular one, estimatescrubber.com, there's a lot of free stuff on estimatescrubber.com. It's also one of those things where you can pay to be a member. Just so you know, EstimateScrubber.com was made by a collision center owner in California. So he's on Team Collision Center. So his brain is more, and that thing's set up how we would want it to be set up, just FYI. You can go in there and it'll let you do like so much for free. You know, but if you start scrubbing every car at your store with the RO count that you have, Matt's probably gonna have to, well, dude, it's cheap, right? It's like, the damn thing would pay for itself in a month if it just got you one extra thing. Same for either of you, you know what I mean? Check it out for free. Go see what it does for you for free. You can run, I can't remember if it's like 10 ROs or something a month through the damn thing for free. You just send a PDF in and it's gonna come back and tell you, you know, it's gonna scrub it. Tell you what you might have missed. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than what you're doing right now? Absolutely. So there's that.
Kind of like advisor, it's like an advisor, CCC.
Yes. Except for,
Well,
I like the guys.
advisor set up based on the CCC profile.
I like the guys at CCC. I've got really good friends that are way up on the food chain at CCC. There's still a piece of that where they are, I'm not so sure if that thing's set up to help the insurance industry or us. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas I know for sure the people at EstimateScrubber.com, they're kind of like me, so I know how they're wired, you know? I know how that guy thinks. So, and they're not the only one. There's other ones out there, and we're starting to get more and more tools to help us with this kind of stuff. The also getting paid for what we do, to me, which isn't in this class, it's OE procedures, right? It's going to OEM One Stop, all data. I started to talk earlier that GM just signed with Mitchell, which I hope this changes actually, but right now to be on GM certified program, you have to have Mitchell Estimatics in your shop. That's the only way you're going to get on their program, right? So, I don't like that it's hamstringing us to one thing. What I do like is Mitchell is embedding all the OE procedures for GM into their system, right? So if you go in on an Acura TL, replace quarter panel, then the window's gonna pop up and say, okay, here's the OE procedures for replacing that quarter panel. Which I tell people all the time, that's where we're about to get to. It's going to get to the point, and it can't happen soon enough, where when your estimators or yourself goes on into the system and puts replace rear body panel on a Honda Accord, it's going to pop up and say, hey, here's what you need to do, blah, 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 right? You can print it, give it to the tech, those kind of things, and then we're going to be able to stay more compliant easier. Because right now, the feedback I get from a lot of shops across the country is it is a cumbersome program to try to get to all these OE procedures. And quite honestly, my shops that do it, they really bill an admin fee for it because it's so cumbersome to get to all of it, right? Which again, you'll have to make business decisions, but it's not your fault, quite honestly, that the OE procedures are difficult to get to. It's probably not State Farm's fault either, but again, State Farm decided to insure the car. They didn't call you and say, hey, what's your opinion on this? You think I should insure this car? Did they? So, stick it back in their face.
And all data, all collision, all that, all the OE procedures, you have to pay for them. You know,
Yeah,
in order to get to it, print it out, here's why I need well here, this is why I need well there. You know, so.
I know, I almost, an OEM One Stop and all that, some of those will let you pay by the inquiry. I have shops that instead of paying for a monthly fee, even though it's more expensive, they pay by the inquiry because then they pass that bill on to the insured, right? Because to your point, they should pay for it. It's not a cost of doing business, you know what I mean? Just, it shouldn't be, you know? So, I don't know, you know, again, it's hard for me to make those choices for you. This last piece, and then we'll stop and get some, and we'll stop for lunch. So props are great. That first prop, as you notice I skipped through it, was about paint, so I went through it. But I love the seam sealer rope that Brienne made. This thing is freaking great. If you don't have this rope, you need this rope, okay? So it's pretty simple. So use a 3/8 rope and black electrical tape. Cut one piece 103 inches long, mark the rope with wrapped electrical tape at the halfway point, at the 1/4 point. 103 inches represents a seam sealer bead approximately 3/8 in diameter, one full two-part cartridge of 3M 08308 or 08310, right? And then it'll walk you through the rest. Someone at 3M came up with this. So what's cool about this, y'all see where this is going, right? So if your bid is 3/8, if your bead is 3/8 and you have a 3/8 rope, and I have it marked in quarters, I can now, if I'm gonna put a floor in that Nissan Altima in a rear body, right? I can take that rope, and since it's rope, I can make it contour and go all the way around, and it's going to tell you how many tubes of 3M 08308 you're gonna need to put that floor in. Does that make sense? And not only does it tell you approximately how much you need, it's also a great visual to prove to the idiots that this is why I need this stuff, right? You see what I mean? So it's really cool. It's a simple little thought process, but you can use it on doors, putting on a door skin, anywhere where you're putting seam sealer, quite honestly. So it's kind of cool. You can put it down, take a picture, boom, boom. Does that make sense? Your 3M rep would be more than happy to help you with that. I'm sure of it if you buy 3M stuff. The other thing that